Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it might be where you are out there.
Greetings, my excellent friend.
It is so good to see you. My name is Jeff Fritz, and today is June 5th, 2020, and we're going to be talking about a little bit of code today. How's it going, chat room? It's been a few days. Hello. So good to see you. I'm seeing a couple of our friends here. Bald-bearded Builder is here. Ivana Deem is here. Let me look down the list. Ed Charbeneau, he's going to be joining us a little bit further here. The Bald-bearded Builders. Hang on, let me say that right. The Bald-bearded Builder is here. Hey, Justin, good to see you. CrazyPizzaDorf.com. Jay Whittietten, good to see you. Not Simple. Hello. Stelzy, Johan, Devman NL, good afternoon to you. Is it Ostork? Welcome. Sarah Fatz is here. So good to see you. Sarah is here. She's right over there. Hello. Lucky number 7 with the resub. Thank you so much. Good to see you. DJ Vortex. Chris Sainty is here. Today we're actually, I'm not going to be writing too much code today. We're actually going to be doing a bit of Blazor talk. Oh my goodness. A huge, look at that. I have alerts turned off here. Thank you so much. 20 gift subs into the channel. Thank you so much. We're shifting up we're going to change up who we're donating to starting this month. I'll have more details about who our cheers and subs are being donated to on Sunday when we get back together and we officially start Junity. But first, we've got a guest here. Let me bring him on. So good to see him. This is my good friend Ed Charbeneau. Ed, hello.
Hey,
good to see you.
How's it going, Jeff? And welcome everybody in the chat room.
I'm thrilled to have a chance to talk to you. My gosh, since last we spoke, so much has advanced with Blazor, and we've now got an RTM. We
do,
right?
And we can use this in production now.
Yeah, no more. I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna see how things work. Test drive, and it's open source. It's okay. We've got support now. This is cool.
Yeah, so full support came for server side. It's almost been a year, hasn't it? It's been quite a while. And
I think
client side just dropped in build.
Yeah. It was September. I think it was. We had at .NET Conf. Right. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Bald-bearded Builder with gift subs into the channel. 10 gift subs. Thank you so much for those gift subs. And
nice.
We're gonna make a donation. I'm changing up. It's Pride Month here. I'm looking at donating to a LGBT organization for this month because of the June the Pride Month and what we've got going on here in June. But to kick things off in June, Ed, you and your team have been so busy this week blazing into June. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, so we started, we're excited about the RTM release. So we started a Blazing into Summer week here on our Code It Live channel, which is our Telerik Twitch channel. And we started off the week by giving a brief introduction to Blazor. I've got a free ebook out there. Sarah can pop the link to that in the chat room, but we've got a free ebook out there that you can download that'll show you how to get started. So we kind of went through some of the things that you'll find in the ebook.
Okay.
And then on Tuesday, we talked about full stack Blazor development. So we have a client-side web application that talks to web API backend and did some CRUD operations and server paging and filtering and all that good stuff. So that came out really well. And then on Wednesday we had the one and only Daniel Roth join us.
Nice. So for folks who don't know Dan's actually kind of important with Blazor.
Yeah, he's a pretty important guy. He's the program manager on that project. And he was showing us some of the future bits that Blazor has to offer. So he talked about PWAs, which you can do right now.
Nice.
And then he showed something that I think got cut from build that he really wanted to show off. And it was some experimental MAUI bits, so the multi-platform user interface framework that's being worked on.
So .NET Maui, it just announced publicly at Build 2020, 2-3 weeks ago, and scheduled to be released in the .NET 6 wave. So you can't do it yet. We'll see preview bits here throughout the rest of the year, and he's already got a demo showing some.
Yeah, so this demo was really neat because, first of all, it's hot bits that we can't get our hands on yet, so those are always fun to watch and see what's coming down the pipe. But it's a Blazor web view for the Maui framework, and you can drop in this Blazor web view in a desktop XAML application.
Okay.
And you can interact with, say, you have a counter in Maui, a counter in the desktop app and a counter in your Blazor app. You can bind those to the same value and click the count button from either the web interface or the desktop interface, and it will update that UI on both HTML and XAML outputs.
So, wait, hang on. So that's two-way data binding, no signal R.
No signal R, two-way data binding between native desktop and web UI within the same application view.
Okay, that's pretty cool. All right. So I'm used to using Signal R to coordinate, right? Signal R, that live framework that we have to push data back and forth from a server. It send a message back to the server to effectively fan out that message to all my applications. That's pretty cool, being able to see that level of interaction.
Yeah, one thing that's nice about Blazor is it's written around a lot of abstractions. So the DOM abstractions, you can hook different view engines into Blazor. So people normally associate Blazor with the web, but that is just an interface that we can plug another view engine into. So the .NET team is working on a way to generate views that work with desktop UI, and they've created also this Blazor web view that you can encapsulate existing HTML and Razor components, and it also just talks directly with the other parts of the application because it's all .NET. What's cool there is it's not even running on WebAssembly because you're in the desktop running a desktop application.
Yeah.
So you have the full .NET framework, and then that interface that normally would talk through Signal R is just talking through to the standard web UIs that are there.
Okay.
Running in native .NET code. So it's really responsive. It was fast. It was easy to implement. You just dropped the control on the form and it worked. So I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on that one.
Yeah, there's stuff to be said about having one user interface framework to define them all, right? And as somebody who's used to web development, used to my divs and spans and HTML5 tags, having Blazor and being able to do some of those cool data binding things and bring that same technology, whether it's into Maui, into desktop development, is very powerful to enable me as a web developer. So I love hearing this. It's so exciting to see. Very cool.
So if it hasn't clicked with the audience yet, imagine a desktop shell, not a Electron shell, but a native desktop shell that you have a web view in, and I can grab something like the Telerik UI for Blazor Data Grid and stick it in that web view, and it's running at native desktop speeds because it's native.NET. It uses HTML and tech that I'm familiar with as a web developer, and now I also have access to system things like file I/O on disk, and the notification system within Windows, and all of the interop with the desktop environment is there.
So cool to see that, right? They continue to grow this, right? You're outside the sandbox, right? And when we think about, right, that desktop shell, right? A lot of us think about things like the Electron apps, right? Slack and Visual Studio Code, Discord. They all use that same Electron, right? That Electron framework. It's just a browser and hosting JavaScript. But to take that and do native with Blazor, huge possibilities there for us. I want to say hello to a couple folks. My gosh, look at all the folks joining us here in the chat room. Lily Hazel is here. So good to see you, my friend. She's the community manager for the Live Coders team. Thank you to all of our folks dropping subs today. Really appreciate that. The hype train blew through here. My goodness. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much. We do love Lily Hazel. Absolutely, Sarah. Thank you so much for everybody. And Copper Beardy's here, another member of the Live Coders team, just like Bald Bearded Builder, Lily Hazel, Ed, and myself. Make sure you check out all the Live Coders at livecoders.dev. Now, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't want to leave out yesterday's guest either. We had Chrysanti on, who's here in the chat.
Yeah.
And we talked about Blazor authentication and some pretty great detail there. We did about 2 hours, and we dove, from the top level and then pretty deep inside there to figure out some gotchas that people might have when they start doing authentication.
Authentication's never easy, and the .NET team has tried to really simplify things with the identity framework, and I like now that in Blazor WebAssembly we have these pass-through capabilities. Pass it through to another service, pass it through to another thing. We'll receive and enforce all that so that it becomes as simple as possible for us, the non-security entrenched developers, right? We're not monitoring some of these advancements all the time. Just update and do the security thing for me. I just need someone to log in.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to roll those things on your own. That's for sure.
If you roll those things on your own, it's
illegal in 9 countries.
It is. Don't do that. So, but we wanted to talk a little bit today about some of the other cool things that are going on in this growing ecosystem. There's something to be said about the technology's open source. They've really left a bunch of neat interfaces for us to our friend Brady Gaster would say, some interfaces for us to party on and grow, add new features, and deliver here cool new things. Oh my goodness, what just happened? 20 more subs into the channel thanks to our friends at Progress Software. Thank you so much for that. And we're going to make some donations. Like I said, we're going to announce a Pride-focused charity that we're going to support on Sunday morning when we get started with our Junity month here on the channel. Thank you very much to our friends at Progress Software for that. Tremendous. Wow. Yes, lots of heck there. Woo! Okay, so we wanted to talk about this growing Blazor
Sarah stirring things up again.
Nothing but mischief.
Such a troublemaker.
Thank you so much. And the cheers, my goodness. So we've seen this community, this Blazor community, start to grow and get into not just, hey, we want to paint some things on the screen, but components and styles and other ways that you can build and make your applications feel better, look better. What are some of the, is there something you want to start with, Ed, to kind of show here? And we can kind of go back and forth showing some of the things that we've found on Nougat?
Sure. So I went through and let's see, we can pull up the Awesome Blazor link here.
All right.
Awesome Blazor. It's a GitHub.
Let's go to your screen.
Document. And this is Awesome Blazor, and Daniel Roth is a big fan of this as well. He shows it in his build sessions all the time. And this is a good place to go for finding resources, books, libraries, all those sorts of things. Matter of fact, here's a better example of what I'm trying to say. We've got podcasts and ebooks and courses and all kinds of community stuff and samples. So I went through the libraries and extensions, and I cherry picked some of my favorites so we could share some of those on the show today.
Okay. And I mean, you've been building some things. We've been building some things here. Mm-hmm. Of course, our friends at Progress, they've got a tremendous library of Blazor components. If folks want to jump in and get full supported components to do all the things, very cool community that's really springing up around this framework.
Yeah, we've got a full release of 40 plus components already for Blazor, Telerik UI for Blazor. And they let you do all sorts of things like file uploads and schedulers and grids with server-side capabilities and all sorts of stuff. So we've got quite the tool set to already start working with stuff. So. Oh
yeah. And it feels like the team there at Telerik, They just pick up and say, well, we know how to build these components. We're just going to do it again, and here's the new framework.
Yeah. Well, we've got a long history of this. We've been doing it since 2000. Oh, I'm going to get the year wrong. The first web forms release was in, 2006?
Something back there. Yeah, the old Ajax control.
Yeah. So we've been at this for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And we've got quite a history of experience. But not only that, we have the Kendo UI framework, which is all HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So when we started doing our .NET components, we didn't have to rewrite the HTML and CSS parts.
Sure.
So, and I have a jumping off point there. But we decided to rewrite everything from native Blazor. So we have full .NET behind the scenes, and those little bit of interrupts in there to tie up some loose ends. But for the most part, it's 99% C# code. So it's...
And that's what you mean by native Blazor. It's C#, not just, we're going to hand over to JavaScript.
Yeah, what we didn't want to do is wrap our existing Kendo UI components and pretend that they're Blazor components and render, when you do that, you're rendering kind of a shell and then letting JavaScript go and hydrate all of those things. Okay. When you do that, you have to kind of patch in templating and all that stuff, because in those other frameworks, templating exists in the JavaScript land. And then you kind of lose your Razor abilities when you try to bring those things in to Blazor. So we started from Blazor from scratch.
Oh, very cool. In the chat room, Lasamet says, Mish Manners asked him to tell me, love me and Blazor. Keep up the good... Thank you. Appreciate the kind words there. Marin Bretonov is here. Hey, Marin, good to see you. 2002 thinks that first, what was it, editor control?
Yes, 2002. I was trying to get the right... so that's 18 years of components, of UI experience there.
Yeah. The rad editor. Yeah. Oh. So what were some of the ones here that you saw? What's the first one you want to take a look at here and dig into?
Okay, so here, let's start with, let's make this really easy on me.
Okay.
Let's start with one of mine really quick.
Sure.
So this is one that I enjoy because it's something that I tried to set up some best practices for handling certain JavaScript interrupt scenarios. And one of the things that stuck out to me was responsive and adaptive rendering. So if you need to do some special rendering because you're on a mobile device, for example, this library will help you with that. So if we start here, we can add some bits and pieces in from other libraries and kind of just tinker with stuff in a sandbox. So I'm going to go ahead and just start a brand new app.
Okay.
And we'll just let this be Blazor app 11. We'll leave it in WebAssembly mode here as well. So we'll start a brand new WebAssembly app. Let's take a quick look at my list here. I don't see anything that would require a server on my list. So we'll go ahead and just leave it as a standard WebAssembly app with no special .NET backend with web endpoints or anything crazy today.
Okay.
And then we shall have the usual Hello World app. So we've got our pages. We'll have the counter and fetch data components in there. And we'll go ahead and render this out. So I could do a quick, oops, my taskbar keeps wanting to jump in. And of course my keys are going to fail on my F keys are going to stop working on the stream for some reason today. So I'll do the old-fashioned click run.
Nice.
When in doubt, click run. I don't know what's going on.
Simple.
There. Can't control F5, but is the resolution coming through okay? I don't remember.
You're very high resolution right now coming
very
through.
High. Let me hit a button here and see if that fixes things up.
That's a bit better, yeah.
Maybe that'll help. All right. Good old Stream Deck with the hotkeys for me. So we have the standard.
I've seen this before. This is the same. We know what this is.
This looks awful familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So we've got the counter. We've got the good old fetch data. So one thing,
just a table, HTML table. We're used to this. We know what this is.
Yeah. So when we zoom in here on a mobile device, let's pretend we're on mobile.
Yeah.
These columns aren't too bad, but can you imagine if we had maybe 8 columns here? Be a little much to display.
Crowded.
Let's actually see if we can go in and kind of fudge that a little bit. So let's go to fetch data.
Okay.
And this view, if you're new to Blazor, you haven't seen this before. It's going out and doing a GET request to pull in some data as an array. And Blazor is smart enough to say, this is a JSON response. I'm going to go ahead and serialize that into a type of weather forecast. And it's an array type. So we'll get that array type back. And then we just simply iterate with a for each loop over the items and render out each of them here inline in the HTML. So it's pretty straightforward stuff. The templating in Razor is nice, and it's got a nice low learning curve. So we'll just fudge this a little bit and just double up on those so we can pretend we've got 8 columns there.
It's really wide.
So we'll do that up here, so make sure the headers match what we've got rendering here.
Okay.
And I still am missing my hotkeys, so
You're still in debug mode. There you go.
Oh, there we go. Hotkeys are back. So every once in a while it does that to me. Tries to keep me in my toes during a live stream, I think. But Control F5, I like to launch without debugging just because it's nice and fast. We're not really debugging any code right now. And that key will just magically stop working every once in a while. So anyway, we've got lots of columns now. So we could pretend these are all unique columns. And if we scroll in again, you can see how this gets really ugly when we start getting down to the mobile level. So we end up with a scroll bar over here, and the menu's a mess.
Title bar, that's not cool.
All right, so what if we could tell if the user was on a mobile device and then change the UI behaviors a little bit?
Now, you're not talking about alternate rendering. You're talking about doing a little bit more adaptive rendering.
Yeah, so we're going to do adaptive rendering. We could put some media queries in there, and we could hide certain elements on the page. There are some upsides and downsides to that. So I always advise to use media queries first.
Okay.
And it's a last resort, or if there's some potential benefit to using runtime capabilities, use those. Now, so you could essentially hide these.
Right.
Go ahead.
So I was going to say, for some folks who maybe are more desktop-focused developers or aren't used to building for the web, a media query is just inspecting browser things, isn't it?
Correct. So media query is going to look at the device's capability for its screen resolution. So if you're able to display, say, 780 pixels or higher, then you can set a breakpoint there and say it's either true or false. Its capabilities are greater than that, or they're not. There's some other fun ones in there that I've played with recently that detect things like your operating system's preferred color scheme. So if you're in a dark theme mode, you can actually pick that up through a media query, and it'll say true or false whether their system preferences are preferring a dark theme. So you can swap out some CSS and make your app dark theme to kind of mesh with their system settings.
It fits in, and it feels natural at that point, right? No reason to come out all bright colors when they're used to seeing darker colors throughout the rest of their computing experience.
Right. So media queries are essentially truthy. So you're going to ask it, do you have this capability? And it's going to answer back yes or no. And you can do this in native CSS. So you can set some CSS values and override certain values in your CSS to take advantage of the device capabilities that may be there.
Right. This isn't a Blazor feature. This is standard in every browser. You don't have to go and say, how does Blazor do this? This works everywhere.
So I always advise to try to start with media queries directly and do things in CSS if you can. But there's also a lot of times where things happen at runtime where media queries don't fit, and you need to go in and check things via code.
Okay.
And
Now,
normally,
let me pause you 1 second. Before we go through and talk about how to check those things, I want to welcome the folks that just rated us over from Code It Live.
Oh, nice.
Welcome in. We got a couple viewers coming in over there. It's so good to see you. We appreciate you joining us, Raiders. Thank you so much for sending them over. My name's Jeff, and that's Ed, and we're learning about media queries in Blazor. All right, so we're going to get these hooked up to our C# and Razor templating code.
Yep. So with regular media queries, there's some wrappers in Bootstrap that kind of help these classes that we can tack on.
Okay.
And some of these have to deal with hiding and showing things on devices based on their screen size. So if we look here, there is a hidden on extra large. So if we have a really wide monitor, for some reason we might want to hide something, or visible. Hide on extra small.
So I don't have to put any kind of an if statement in my code that says, well, if it's this big, then show and hide this. I don't have to write C# code to do it. I can just put these classes on it, let them stay there, and when the device is that size, it'll show and hide appropriately.
So exactly.
Okay.
We could wrap certain things with this. I could hide this entire table by putting these classes on my table. Now, here, let's try to rerun this and see what that actually looks like. And it looks like it just changed the layout of it.
So it's not a full width yet.
There it goes. It hit it there, right there. That's
okay.
what I was looking for. So this is actually, in my opinion, a bad practice, and I'll show you why. So we'll take and inspect this, and if we go into the body, let's see here. It's going to be hidden in this app tag, and then main. We'll drill down again. It's going to be in our content div.
Yeah.
And there's our table. There's the table head and all of the things.
So it's still served.
The table.
The entire
it's still
table.
Served. It still served the entire table.
Right.
So
it didn't save you anything.
No. All it saved you is screen real estate. However, you just pushed X amount of K worth of data across the wire, and it's rendering this. It's just not. It's hiding it from your view.
Right. And well, if this is running on Blazor client, you didn't push it across, right? It just rendered from the DLL that's already local. If we were talking Blazor server, you're right.
Yeah, and if it's pre-rendered, you've sent all the HTML across the wire.
Yeah.
If you're rendering on the client, you've sent the JSON response across the wire.
Sure.
And also, all of these things exist in the render tree.
Yeah, you've complicated things unnecessarily.
So we won't get into render trees today, but oops, I'm deleting the wrong thing. That is a bad thing, because the more things you have in your render tree, the more diffing that Blazor application has to do if something updates. So you don't want a bunch of things in your render tree that aren't visible. It's just a waste of resources. So CSS media queries are great for doing things like changing layouts, maybe stacking things versus showing them horizontally. But you don't want to hide and show a bunch of content with media queries, because it's just doing that. It's literally hiding things it already has.
Okay.
So let's look at another way to do this. Let's look at how to do this at runtime. Now, in a JavaScript application, we would call on an API in the DOM called match media. So basically, we do the same media query logic and say match media, and then we pass it the parameter of what is the thing that we're looking for that's going to be true or false. Is it a small device? And then at runtime with JavaScript, we can manipulate the view with the results of that. We don't have access to that in Blazor because of the abstraction on top of WebAssembly. We could use an interop to go out and run that media query or match media API, but it's not natively supported in Blazor. There's no C# API.
Yeah, that's come on. Give me our C# here. We love and want to see more of that.
So let's do this the easy way, and let's not have to reinvent the wheel. So I'm going to go to Manage Nougat Packages, and I'm going to browse. And this is my thing. We'll get into some other community examples here in a moment. This is just something I'm familiar with. So we're going to start with this. And I've got a couple packages out under the Blazor Pro namespace. And the Blazor Pro Blazor Size package is the one I'm going to install.
Okay.
And this is specifically for dealing with anything that has to do with media queries or resizing of the application in the browser. So I've added the Nougat package. I do need to add the interop files. So there's a little bit of JavaScript that's being abstracted away from you. So we need to add that to the application. And I'm going to jump over to the docs real quick so I don't type this wrong and then spend a bunch of time troubleshooting just typing in a path wrong. So I'll go over to the Nougat page here, or the GitHub page, and we need to add the script file right here. So this has all of the match media interops all tidied up for you.
Okay.
And we can put this in our file. Let's go ahead and put it down here, actually, to go ahead and just stay in line with the other JavaScript that's in the app. Now that we have the JavaScript, we need to put a little wrapper around our app. And what this wrapper does is it makes sure that we're doing the right thing by cleaning up all of our resources when we use this. So I'm going to put this in my main layout, and I'm going to wrap this around, and I'm going to say, give me a media query. Oops, I need a using statement here first, Jeff. So I need to be able to find the component.
Sure.
I'm going to go to my imports, and globally, I'm just going to say I'm going to use this everywhere because it's such a useful tool. I will pull in Blazor Pro.Blazor Size. So we'll bring that in. Now we can use it in any component. And we'll start in our main layout and say, give me a media query list. And what this does is we're going to wrap this around the app. So when anything in this tree uses a media query, it's going to register with this list. So when those things go out of view, they get disposed. So the media query list is kind of a manager or an orchestrator that says, I've got these children, and when they get disposed, I'm going to go into JavaScript and remove any event handlers that may be there, or any object references, or any of that type of stuff, to make sure that there's no memory leaks, or there's no events kicking off that don't have anything responding to them.
Okay. I've got to warn you, before... we've got some friends that have just appeared in the chat room that are trying to convince me to put on a squirrel costume. We're not going there. Totally rigged. Not happening.
That's nuts. I'm just going to say that's nuts.
I can't believe you went there.
Go!
Okay. All right. Go on. Okay. So anything that registers a media query inside those two tags is going to be managed then by that filter.
Exactly. So this is using a Blazor framework feature called a cascading parameter.
Okay.
So media query list will cascade down into the views beneath it, and then the children can add themselves to the container. Then the container goes through and does any cleanup of resources when these things are added and removed from the system.
Okay.
So if you want to see how that's done, the source code is up on GitHub. So this is a public repo here. And if you dig into the bits, you will see that those cleanup routines. So one thing we don't want to do is have the user resize their browser after they've visited a page with these components on it, and then have all these random event handlers kicking off on resize events when there's nobody listening anymore.
Yeah. Gosh, I can think about the browser just wigging out, just going nuts, trying to handle all these things that aren't really there.
So think about the life cycle of this for a minute, Jeff. If I have here, let's go back to the page to get a little visualization of what's happening. If I were to go to the counter component, there's no media query listening to this page. Then I go to fetch data, and there's a media query here listening. And I go back. If I don't clean up that resource, I'm still listening. If I go back again, I've just added a second one, and a third, and a fourth. And every time I visit that page, I'm just compounding this problem.
Yeah.
Because I'm not cleaning up these event handlers. And then, all of a sudden your app starts getting slow and you're blaming Blazor, and it's not the right thing to put your finger at. And
yeah, disconnecting these events is important.
Absolutely. So now we need to actually use the media query component. And I've tried to make this about as simple as possible. Between the media query list handling all of the event registration and cleanup, now we need to just add the component itself, and it will inherently do the rest.
Oh,
so
my.
we'll put the media query on the page. And the media query has a couple special capabilities. We'll get into a few of these in a moment. But for the most part, what you're going to want to use is this bind syntax. And we want to bind to matches. So again, these are true-false scenarios. So we're going to bind to matches, and we're going to set a Boolean value here.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and we'll do that.
While you're doing that, I want to thank our friend Dee Walsh for a couple of gift subs into the channel. Thank you so much for that. And we're going to make donations to a Pride-focused charity that we're going to talk about on Sunday morning as we get into our Junity event. Thank you so much, Dee. So
I'm going to set this as a property.
Okay.
And I have a property now that's a Boolean value. It's get set is medium up. So if this is true, our device is a medium resolution or higher. So we haven't defined what that is yet, but we will in a moment. So we just need to bind this. Now, whenever the media query changes and that breakpoint gets hit, this will then toggle the flag.
Sure.
So we makes it about as easy as we can reason about there. The next thing we need to do is say, what are we matching? So we're going to say media equals, and there's a little helper in here. This is actually a string. We could paste in any media query string in here we'd like. So this is a string value, and we could say a media query looks like this. It's always in braces. And it's I can never remember how to write these, but it has something to do with size. That's
Magic
about all I can remember.
in size.
That's all I can remember. So these are hard to remember. So there's a little helper in here. You can say breakpoint if you spell it right. Breakpoints dot. My IntelliSense is going nuts here.
Oh.
Right. Breakpoints dot, I've got a little helper in here that has all of the different sizes that you normally run into, and these are based on Bootstrap.
Yeah.
So these are going to coincide with the Bootstrap framework if you're using that.
Sure.
They're pretty common breakpoints anyway, because Bootstraps are based on normal device resolutions. So your Android and iOS tablets, for example, fall into these categories. So you're not going to vary from these too much. If you do, it's a string value. You can just write your own.
Okay.
So it's not a big deal. You could also use some of the helpers in here and let's see, where are they? You can say between, and you can put your own custom media queries
your own
between
custom sizes there. Nice.
These two sizes.
Speaking of sizes, they're really, really wanting me to do this squirrel costume. They're, they are going a little nuts there in the chat room. You see what I did there? See what's
Squirrel is so bad. He's good.
If I'll tell you what, if we look at this in the chat, Ed, do you? Okay. Well, I'll throw it out. This is all for a good cause. All of my cheers, all of my subs. If we get to, let's call it 400. We are at 305 right now. If we get to 400, we will do the squirrel costume. How's that? 400 before the end of... Dear Lord! Well, we're waiting. We are. No, see, it's just not going to happen. All right. So, different breakpoints for those different size devices. My gosh, I felt like when we were web developers in the early 2000s, we didn't have media queries. Everybody was using Internet Explorer 6, and you just made your things fill the browser window and the browser size, and that was it. But now, we're doing things like this, because it's not just the browser window, but it's the device size and resolution, and you want to fill... Oh my god.
Uh-oh. Got Sarah up to trouble again?
Oh my god. 50 tier 1 subs into the channel. Whew. Holy what? Thank you. And we are going to make a donation to a pride-focused charity. Wow. Thank you so much for all of those subs. Congratulations to everybody in the chat room. This is just a little distracting, Ed. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I always say this with pride. Sarah is actually my boss, so she is amazing and is great to have her as the lead of our team.
Thank you so much. I don't know what to say now, except 45 away. So, okay. This is where we can break and let's face it, there are some pretty standard sizes for tablets. Especially when we think of those those Apple iPads, and phones are pretty standard sizes now. You know, you're not going to see the really wide 1920 wide on a phone, right? But 1080, 1200, you might see going across on a one of the high res iPhone 11s, right? The 10XS, what is it called? Right, definitely fit in there very well.
So what's nice about the little helper is you can see in the IntelliSense here that we're getting the actual value. That's the part I couldn't remember, the magic. So min dash width, and then our value in pixels here, 768. So if it's larger than 768 pixels, so if it is 769 pixels or larger, this will be true.
Okay.
So we'll put that breakpoint is media up. I think that red underscore is just Razor, the Razor engine being the Razor engine. So we can ignore that, I believe. And then
it has a hard time recompiling on the fly some of those times.
So here, let's try a quick build and see if that shakes it out. I don't see it succeeded, so we're not, and it cleared it up. So now we actually have to make use of the is media up value. So we have it bound, and this is what it is. It's sniffing for. So let's take and show just two of these columns on a small screen. We can do that by saying if is medium up, then we'll go ahead and display the rest of these columns. And then we need to match in our header with our actual body of table elements. We'll do it again. We'll say if is medium or up, then we'll display all the things. And we'll go ahead and close that. And this is what I like about Blazor and the Razor syntax is just putting this if statement in line. And if this is a template region on a component, it should work just fine as well. So we just put those two if statements in. Now I can rerun the app again. And remember before, oops, did I? Oh, I've got an error here. Let's see what we've got going on. Blazor media size cannot be found in window. So it looks like we may, let's try to empty our cache here. Somehow that
What'd
link
you do?
got broken. It is not working. So that, I just did this morning just to make sure it worked, and it worked.
Well, hang on. What is your if statement? Let's look at that if statement. Looks good.
The problem is with that error statement, it can't find the JavaScript.
Are we missing?
Is missing. So let me go back to here, and the namespace is there. Let me double check. It should be fine where it is. We'll go ahead and move this up to the top, just to make sure that doesn't. Nope, something. It's not happy about something. I've had this happen before, where the script just does not want to register for some reason.
It's getting a 404 going to Blazor size min JS there on the first line.
Yeah, it won't resolve. I've had this happen before where it refuses to resolve the JavaScript file.
Well, wait a second.
For no apparent reason.
Put it after the Blazor WebAssembly.
I'll put it after, just to double check that. Rebuild. Let's run it in full debug mode just in case there's something kooky going on.
Okay.
Because I've had this happen once before. There we go. So we're not hitting an issue anymore.
All right. So everything's
yeah.
full table. That's our full 8 columns going across. Lots of really great data. But when the browser does shrink, right, and we kick in those media queries,
now we've got 2.
And you're saying it unplugged. It actually removed those extra elements from the render tree.
Absolutely, because of that if statement that's in there. So if we go back, like our scenario before, and we dig into the main content, and then it's going to be table.
Right, there's our table. We need to put an ID of Robert on all of our tables.
There's our table header. You can see there's only those 2 cells are being rendered in there now.
And then there's our few rows that were rendered. Cool. So we've appropriately pulled out those things that we don't want in the render tree so that we can get that appearing appropriately. Nice.
Right. So let's pull in another package now. I'll give a brief mention here too as well before we go on to the next package. You can use templates with this as well. So if you have, this is ideal if you have one and only one use of the breakpoint on that component. So in here we have 2 use cases for it. So it's better to use a flag and just go in and inspect that flag because we're using it in 2 spots. But we could also do this. If we're using this in one place, I could say media query. And instead of using the bind matches, we're going to let the media query component handle it internally. And we'll set a media breakpoint at, let's say, breakpoint. Let's say if this is a only large device, we'll get this breakpoint.
Okay.
I can come in and open up a template tag. Let's see. I'm trying to remember.
Oh, no.
There it is. Matches. If it matches.
Oh, no. I have to interrupt for a second.
Are we getting up to the number?
D.D. Walsh with 20 gift subs into the channel. Wow! Wow! Thank you so much for those gift subs. We're now at 375 with 25 to go. Oh my gosh. This is... So, in addition to giving all of our subs and cheers to, we're going to give them to a Pride-focused charity. I'll announce on Sunday. If we get to 400, it unlocks another emote, and I have another emote waiting in the wings that will add another bot that everybody will get who's a subscriber. No, there is no squirrel. We're not getting to the squirrel. Ed, help me put this squirrel stuff behind me. So you're setting up, so when it matches, this is the template that we're going to see here on line 53. When it doesn't match, we're going to get the template here that's on line 56.
So I'm gonna help with the squirrel scenario real quick. Hang
No,
on.
no, don't do that. No. Oh my gosh.
So I know it's just
You keep
one,
using
but
that word.
there's one more.
I do not think it means what you think it means.
So I just added another.
Friends?
My 4-month sub anniversary. All right. So back to the code. As a subs for
25 gift subs coming in from Sarah. Thank you so much. I don't know what to say.
I smell something funny. I think it smells like melting plastic. I believe it's Sarah's Amex.
I
Finish him.
we've made it. Okay. That's going to unlock another emote, and when we're through this demo, I think I'm going to be changing here in just a second, and changing up my headgear, and maybe even the voice change. I don't know what to say. Thank you so much. We are going to pay this forward. Of course, to a Pride focused. That is huge. Thank you so much, everybody, for the cheers, for the gift subs, the subs. Yes, it will be a rodent of unusual size. This makes more sense to me with the matched and unmatched doing templates here. That for me as a Blazor component template user, this feels good to me. Now, remind me again, the bind matches. If the media, right, if it matches, is that this just turns on, sets this Boolean value here on line 64, and I can behave appropriately and act on that parameter down lower.
So what's nice about the line 60 approach is it is giving us a programmatic approach.
Okay.
So I can write logic against this. So maybe I have a different HTTP call because there's less data to bring over. Maybe there's other things that I want to do based on that.
And
also, this is registering only one media query.
Okay.
And I need to remember, I think I have deduplication in here, so it shouldn't make 2 media queries for this if they're the same breakpoint.
So, and we did get that question just a few seconds ago. Let me bring that up. Pavaroso asked, does it support defining multiple bind matches? Can I bind that to multiple?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
So we could duplicate that all day and change the breakpoint.
Okay, but can I bind to multiple
flag?
Can I bind to multiple matches on the same media? That kind of feels weird. Bind to one, I would think, and just propagate this value as it's being set.
So the question, I think, is coming from the wrong line of thought. And instead of matching more than one against this, what you would do is you would say, is it between?
Oh, okay.
Because that's going to be between 2 numbers, rather than matching two values, two different values.
Okay.
And then medium and up says, okay, it's everything greater than. And like I showed here, we can say only large. Okay. So it's just a matter of querying these things correctly, I think, is more the issue.
Okay.
Than trying to combine them.
Let me pause you there. Our friend Mastermind from the Live Coders team is here. Thank you so much, my friend, for tuning in. So great to see you. Thank you, Ancient Coder, for already dropping the shout out. Mastermind is doing a tremendous series of streams where he's teaching the entire software development process from soup to nuts, the entire life cycle, so you can really get in and learn more about how the entire things work, how the entire process works. And since it's all on Twitch, you get to ask questions with great materials available. Check out his channel. Thank you so much for tuning in, my friend. Really appreciate seeing you here today. I think I know where you're going with this, Ed. Give me a minute. I think I need to go change up my headgear. I'm going to turn off my mic and let you roll there for just a minute here while you finish wiring this up.
Okay, so I'm looking at a question from Easy Computer Player, and it says, if the query is hit, is the whole data re-requested? If you have a long-running task, how does that handle? So actually, the data is loaded by uninitialized async. So the media query in this scenario actually isn't affecting the data fetch at all. And that would be completely up to you, Easy Computer Player, on how you would want to handle that data fetch. So let's think about the life cycle of the page for a minute and the way that Blazor works. If I come into this page, the first thing that happens is the uninitialized async event gets fired. Actually, let me backtrack. The page will render with the default values. So media query medium and up is actually going to start as false because that's the default value for a Boolean. I could default this to true by setting it true here.
Sure, that makes sense.
And so on.
We want Phil is here. Hello.
The next thing that's going to happen is the initialized task will run. So the data grid is actually going to not render anything that first pass because it's going to be null. It's going to say loading. Then this asynchronous task kicks off. The data gets loaded. It finishes its task. It re-renders the component. So now the component, after the component has rendered, it's going to fire its on after rendered method. Now, when on after rendered actually gets executed, that's when JavaScript is first available to us. We don't have JavaScript until that has happened. So the component has already initialized, the data's already been loaded.
Yeah.
We finally have access to JavaScript. The media query gets checked. Those columns get turned off.
Okay.
So you want to write this in the most common default scenario you have. So are most of your users going to be on the desktop, or most of your users going to be mobile?
Makes sense.
Because if most of your users are going to be mobile, then you might want to set this default is medium or up to false. But if most of your users are on the desktop, you probably want to set this to true, because this is going to be always the default value until JavaScript becomes available and we can check for the media query.
Ed's really trying to keep a straight face here. I'm so sorry.
I have not looked at my camera yet.
There's nothing to see here. They were waiting.
Anticipation.
There it is.
I lost your audio for a minute.
No, it's the all that anticipation. Yes, we're wearing the squirrel headpiece. Thank you so much. 400 subs in the channel, and we're going to pay that forward to a pride-focused organization. What can I tell you? We're going a little nuts here with Blazor today. Okay, so really cool to see how this adapts, and we can adjust, and we can make our application better for appropriate device sizes.
Right. So we have the ability to check these values, and I'll run this one more time because I put that template in there, and we haven't seen that in action yet.
Yeah.
So
that's right. Squirrel Pride Month. That's right.
It says everyone else. So apparently this isn't a large device, and I don't think I can make it one. Maybe if I zoom out, it will pretend it's one.
Sarah, Ed needs a larger screen.
It's the resolution we have it set at for...
because of presenting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So presenter mode has kind of failed us on this one. So we'll say maybe only medium should do the trick.
Okay. There's a question here in the chat room from Mr. Smoofy. Asks, this isn't a prize enough to you, Mr. Smoofy? Are you kidding? Go away. I don't know what you're talking about here.
I never changed the verbiage here.
Only large. There we go.
So and you say only medium, but you get the point, I think, is this will only show in that one scenario.
That's right.
Need to rebuild.
Okay.
It will only show on that one size. And if I go below that size...
To simulate a mobile device. There we go.
It's everyone else, or it's medium.
There you go. No, Dee, no. No. Okay.
Sarah and Dee are just such troublemakers, I swear.
Where else can you go to see a squirrel wearing a purple sequin jacket and a fine goatee? By the way, I look younger. You can't see my gray. This is wonderful. No, I'm not going to do this more often. Okay, so I love the templates. The templates make a lot of sense to me as a developer who might be building a form that I want to make sure is compatible across, right, those different environments, those different device sizes, and I'm going to lay things out a little bit differently. I want to make sure they stack nicely, or maybe there's, right, some other things that I want to remove from the screen because I know you're on the phone, or maybe I know you're on the phone and I want to light up those phone features because you're on a phone, right? I can go reach into some things around location a little bit easier, right? No, I don't need a hat also. I can't fit a hat. This is the hat. There's no.
So maybe this one will get folks really thinking outside the box. And if we were to set this to show on, let's see, I'm trying to think which way we would approach it first. If we said it is a small device or smaller,
yeah,
then maybe we have a lot of data intensive tasks to run. So one thing that we could do actually, I think we would need, we wouldn't be able to do it in the templated mode. We would actually take over the method here.
Okay.
And we could say where is it? I want the actual event. Match changed. There we go. Match is changed. We could handle our own event here. So we're not going to use bind anymore and let it automatically happen. We'll actually set an event handler up. And in that event handler, what we could do is say, if we're on a small screen size, we're only going to make maybe a request to put a certain UI element on the page. But if we're on a large screen, we'll go ahead and load the charts, the graphs, the grids, etc.
Now,
and on the small device, we put a button that lets you incrementally load in features, so we're not killing your data plan.
Nice. Okay. That leads into a question here from Fixie Pixie, who asks, is this browser specific? Will it work on IE 11? I think this...
Yes. It's a CSS. Yeah. So what you can do is you can go to Can I Use? And if Media Query is supported...
Look at
that.
I think it's
Media... If Match Media is supported, then this is supported. So we are all the way back to IE10, which Blazor doesn't even support. So
you're set.
It will work on Edge and above. So anything on Edge, Chromium, you've got it.
Fantastic. And no, I can't support this. No, the GitHub merch folks do not have an Octocat costume. That's a bad idea. Bad idea. Not going there. Grandparents, my kids are going to see this at some point. Grandparents, I don't know about that. Okay.
Let's have some fun with this, Jeff. You've got a library out there that I think could be helpful. So instead of turning off columns, what if we were to display a completely different UI for this?
Okay. Now we're talking.
Is there a repeater control?
There is.
You could maybe put a different display on this with?
Oh, yes. You can, if you install the Blazor Web Forms components, those are components that we've been building here on this stream, this channel, to allow folks to migrate some of their web forms capabilities so that they behave the same way with the same markup, very similar markup, because it is Razor markup, inside of Blazor. I need an icon to go with that.
You do.
I need an icon. I got to get on the Fiverr and see if I can get somebody to help me with an icon. And don't you dare suggest it should be a squirrel there, D.D. Walsh.
You've got your chat emojis, don't you?
I have the robots too. Sure, we could do robots.
Throw a robot in there.
Yes.
People would recognize that from the show, I imagine.
A little bit. No, it will not be a squirrel. I need to.
An acorn?
No, not an acorn. That's just nuts. No. It's certainly a robot holding a squirrel. A robot with a squirrel T-shirt. No, these are all bad ideas. Don't encourage the trolls in chat. We'll figure something out. A squirrel with a top hat. That's cool. No.
You have your web forms component.
Yeah, there we go.
We have some data. We have a data list.
Okay.
Or a repeater. So the idea here is instead of showing the HTML grid like that, I hate to call that a grid. It's a table. It's a data table. Instead of showing a data table on a small device, we could show a repeating list of temperatures.
We know how to do
something that is vertical friendly. So which one of those components would I use? And did I do all the installation? Is there anything else?
That's all you needed to do was add it, and you should have the component now available if you add a using Fritz.Blazor web forms components.
Let's go to our imports and just add it here globally so I don't have to keep typing it.
Yeah.
Why is that not showing up for me? It should. I installed it, did I not?
Packages. Fritz Blazor web forms components.
Did I spell that correctly? Yeah. Blazor web forms components.
There we go.
Let's try a build and see if it. Nope. Namespace not found.
The web forms components, it should be a capital F in web forms components.
I'm not getting any IntelliSense is what's throwing me off.
That is weird.
It's saying Fritz can't be found. Is it not under that namespace? There it is. It's Blazor web forms.
Oh, snap. That's the difference I have between the two. All right.
All right.
To fix.
So the Nougat package has a different namespace than the actual library.
Yeah, that's me. Friends, the new emote is now available for you in chat. You should be able to use the new C# cry emote, and you'll get the crying robot that you can use because it's just this funny.
So what this actually should be is squirrel dot.
No,
Don't go there.
Don't do. No. That's.
All right. So I'm going to remove this if statement, and we'll keep our bloated double wide grid here for the default. I'm going to take this out, and we can decide if we're going to use the template even. Let's go ahead and kind of rewind just a little bit. We'll take out that and that. We'll re-implement that media query component there in a minute. And oops, I took off the whole for each loop. Let's get that.
Yeah, put that back in there. We need that.
Unintentional. I got a little ham-handed with the delete key there. Delete that. Delete the if. We'll take off the media query because that's easy to rewrite if we want it back. And we'll take that off.
Okay.
So let's do a really quick abstraction here, and we'll go into our Solution Explorer, into let's just throw it in shared because this isn't a serious project. And we'll
serious. We're very serious here on this channel. I don't know what you're talking about. It's
weather table.
It's come on now. What can I tell you?
People know me.
So many people. That's right.
So I'm going to take the weather table, and I'm just going to move it. I went side by side the wrong direction.
But what you're showing here, this is something that I think folks need to understand a little bit more, is that every Razor page, every Razor file that you write is itself a component, and you can lift it up and reuse it inside of other components. No thinking, no, I need to wrap it in a certain thing. You already know how to build a Razor file. Just what's inside of it is itself callable. Right?
So what I'm doing here is I'm yanking the HTML and the Razor that marks up the table, and I'm putting it in another file, so I can just come over here and say weather table and remove all that heavy markup from what I'm trying to concentrate on.
Now, should you make that forecasts a property on the weather table?
Absolutely.
So you can just pass that in?
Yeah, so we need to get the data to the component now. So I need to come in here and say @code, and then actually let me try something really quick. Let's see if a little bit of magic works here. I'm going to say bcode tab. Ooh, look at that. So that is another little tool that I put out, and you can grab that off of the Visual Studio Marketplace under the Visual Studio tab. And then again, Blazor Pro is the namespace you'll find these under. So there's some code snippets that you can get, and they list out a couple different options that you have, and stubbing out the code block is one of them.
Pardon me for a second. 25 more gift subs into the channel. Oh my goodness. Tremendous. Thank you so much to our friends at Progress Software for another 25 gift subs. And we're going to make donations over to a Pride-focused charity. We'll announce more about exactly which charity on Sunday. I hope you tune in then as we start our Junity month here on stream. June, Unity, and game development all month long. And a little bit of Pride as well. Thank you so much. So I love that we can just make a parameter here that easy, right? It knows what this is, and we can start interacting with this from other places now and pass it in.
Right, and I just ran into something kind of goofy with the project template. For simplicity's sake, they put the weather forecast object inside of the fetch data component, so I don't have access to it here. So I need to move this out a level. So I'm going to take this out and just put it in the main project.
Okay.
And depending on which file new project you start with, you may find that weather forecast object is elsewhere. So
right, in other templates, it's in different places. What do you mean that's goofy? Do you see what's going on here?
So put that in its own. So now I have public class, and that's under shared, so it should light up immediately, and it does. And now I can bind to it here by just saying forecast. Actually, let's make this capital. Let's do Control-RR, and I should be able to refactor, say, forecasts. And that worked. So I've just renamed all of those with a capital F, just because parameters should have capitalization.
Yeah, that's kind of the standard.
Just good practice. Yeah.
Mr. Smoofy is pointing out a very important point here. You are talking to a squirrel. That's goofy. .NET, not so goofy.
It's going to drive me up a tree today. Just saying.
You can do it!
You can. Go ahead.
So we have our weather table. Now, Jeff, I need your help here because I'm not as familiar with your components.
Okay, go ahead. Fire away.
So we have weather table.
Yep.
Looks like this.
Yep.
Let's make another component here and say...
Well, how about you just start off duping it off, right, and use that as a starting point, and then we can move some things around.
That?
Right,
Okay.
just copy-paste the Razor file.
I'll copy-paste the text just for sanity's sake. If you copy and paste the Razor file, it does work, but you will get a weird, like, Razor will go nuts for a few minutes while it tries to figure out why your namespaces are goofy. So we'll just create another file and save us a little headache. It's not like a breaking thing. You have to like close the file and reopen it, and it fixes it. But it's a thing.
Our friend and teammate Fierce Kittens is here, and
I found moose and squirrel, but where is moose?
he's over there. If I'm the squirrel, there's the moose over there. Ed.
So now I'll put these side by side. I have a complete copy of my table, and I have what it will become a list.
Yeah.
So how does one create a list with your component?
So we're going to create a repeater. Let's put a repeater in there, and we can use that to make a list. Leave the code there. We'll move some things around, right? So So start off, it's a repeater, capital R in repeater, and you should find it. There we go. And we can actually say data source, right? Because we're used to what data source is. Yeah, there we go. And we can tell it where to go get it from. You should be able to say, and is forecasts there? Is that a parameter on the page?
Yes, or no, yeah, actually it is. So, why is it all underscored in gross? What's it doing?
You have an incomplete tag right now.
Where would that be?
The repeater tag.
Of course.
So close that tag. There you go. Carriage return.
There we are. Okay. So it's picking it up now.
Fantastic.
Okay, so data sources forecast.
All right. So let's just start with that, right? And inside that repeater tag, we can start adding templates, right? So go ahead and open a tag, and I believe we can do a header here. Right, there we go. Header template.
So just doing a quick IntelliSense check because I'm new, and I'm looking to see footer, group, header, item.
Yeah.
There's lots of templates in here. So you said header?
Yeah, so let's do a header, right? And we can put something that we want to be on the top to show that or you were thinking of just doing a UL of these?
Just something that we can repeat vertically. So
yeah, so right, we can put something in the header, whatever we want to put up top there. But really, you're now looking for an item template, right?
Pretty much.
So let's do, whatever you want to put there, weather forecast.
There we go.
And we can do an item template now. And you can give it a context. You need to give it a context name there on the item template.
So context is going to be...
and then whatever you want to name, right? So you on 29, you called it forecast. So here's what you want each one of those forecasts to look like. So here's where we can do, you can do LIs for each one of these. And I think you have to put a UL outside of the entire thing.
So around the repeater.
Yep.
I'm going to have a UL.
Right, is that?
And then it...
Am I thinking that right? Do me a favor, on the repeater itself, there might be a list type. I think there's a list type attribute on that. Am I thinking of that? Or repeat type? What do we
Item
have?
type?
Item, not item. Item type will allow you to specify that it's a weather forecast, so that you get strong typing there. And I think you do need that. Item type equals weather forecast. Right? Yep, item type.
Okay, FT.
And say weather forecast. There you go. So now you'll get the strong typing on the context there. But I'm looking for, I thought there was a repeat type. Let me just look at the component here real quick over in my project locally here.
I don't see one.
I'm thinking of Robert Tables is here. What am I'm? It's I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Let me bring this open. And yes, we have coffee here as well. Howdy there, Anil, Texas Cowboy. So you should be the repeater. I thought. Let me look at what we have here. It's either going to be repeater or data list, and I think repeater is really the one we want. No, repeater you have to put it around it. Maybe it's data list is the one that I'm confusing with, because these are very similar. Yeah, there we go. Change that from repeater to data list. Change the tag. The rest of the features are pretty much the same. Data list, and you can leave the header template on there. The item template is fine as well. But what you can
actually
do...
Let's see here. Okay, go ahead. So data list.
So you can say repeat layout as an attribute on the data list. So because data list actually has more capabilities as far as building some of the... There you go. So you can say repeat layout equals... And you should be able to say repeat layout dot list.
Layout kind?
No, repeat layout
layout.
is the enum for this.
Whoa,
That's fine.
that's a big namespace.
It is, but it's okay. Change it to flow.
Low.
There you
And
go.
that gives me...
That'll give you LIs as that's being built.
Okay, so...
It'll wrap the entire thing with come here, where'd it go? Right? It's it spans is what it generates. So it'll just flow and lay out appropriately for those with spans inside of things. So you've got your header value for each one of your items now. You can make just a span for each one of those things. Have a label with right next to it what you want it to look like, and it'll just flow and stack those on top of each other, right?
So I need to move this section.
Yep, move
here,
that up in there.
and then I can take. I don't need the LIs anymore, right?
Nope.
Is what you're saying?
Nope.
You
can
those out.
And the
Okay.
TDs on you can get rid of as well. So, how's it going there, chat room? Villa whatever asks, does context equals forecast? Let me put that up while Ed's cleaning up some of their code there. Let me put that question up. Does context equals forecast in the tag work about the same as var foo equals context as item? The former lets you reference forecast.prop. Yes, it does inside of the templates over there. So that context now makes forecast available, and it knows because of the item type on line 7 exactly what that is and what it's going to repeat on each one of those. So you've run into the context bit with nesting auth and Telerik components. Yeah, I could believe that. Absolutely.
So we'll drop our weather list and let's see what we got so far.
Yeah. I think we're going to be a little bit further along than you might expect.
Uh-oh.
Loading, and where is it?
It never did its thing. What happened here?
I don't know.
Oh, I know what it is. I'm just having a brain freeze moment
You
here.
gotta wire it
I never gave it data to render.
Yep.
So that always helps.
Data is a wonderful thing.
Giving it data is probably a good start. Okay, so now
There
we're
it is. So now they're just right there.
that.
So now, right, all it's doing is repeating and putting those right next to each other inside the hierarchy. See? Look at it here. No style, nothing. You can put all that style stuff out somewhere else, but it's literally just dumping them in, flowing them inside of spans next to each other. So you can put classes on your spans to lay those out and stack them however you need, right? And this is the way that it came with ASP.NET back in the day.
If I were to go over to repeater and rerun this.
Oh, with repeater? Sure. What do you say?
Yeah, I just want to see what the difference is between the two.
Sure.
So repeater's a little more template driven, I guess, right?
Well, repeater literally...
No spans?
No spans. It's just what's inside of it, where the list tries to put those spans around things so that you have a clear container of here's what each item is so you can move them around.
So watch this. Let's do this. I just did a little quick search for some Bootstrap stuff here. And we have cards, and we can take this card. There's a card container somewhere, too. I can't remember where to find that. Maybe it's at the bottom. Yeah, card layout. There we go. Card layout. Card columns. That's the one I want. So if we wanted to do this, we could actually
turn them into cards.
Yeah, we'll take this bit of code here, and this will wrap our repeater like that. Need sound effects when you program. Really
We need one of those. Here, let me. Will this work? No. I've got sound effects for this. I promise I do. Right? You're gonna put that right in place, and it's just there. See. Sarah says that we're giving away some Bose headphones at the end of this stream. Oh my goodness. I have these are Audio Technica headphones that I use because I've got a condenser microphone on them. Ahana, is that Ahana Memes? Is that how you pronounce that? Makes a very good point here. This way seems like a very old way of doing it. Exactly. These components that we're showing are actually designed to behave the same way as the old ASP.NET Web Forms controls. This way, you've got the same behavior, and you've got the exact same tags that you can migrate into Blazor. And I've got some demos I'm going to show you later this month that will show you how you can migrate an application directly into Blazor with these components. Coming up later in June, we're finishing up those demos with a partner. We're very excited to show that off. But a great point. This is an old way to do things, but look at that! Yeah, Ed.
There we go.
Look at that.
So let's do a quick review of what I just did, because you were talking and I was typing and people probably got lost. So I wrapped this in a Bootstrap card column class. So everything that repeats inside of your repeater control gets rendered out as a card. And this is built into Bootstrap. We have these in our Telerik UI components as well. These card classes are super handy. So we render a card, and in the card body, I just ejected all of the forecast data.
Nice.
So now it displays, and we could clean this up and make it look a lot nicer. We could put icons and things in there. That'd be great. But the point is here, it displays like this. Maybe we still want a grid on large, but on a small screen, and let's reflow this for a small screen. It's a much better UI for a small screen than a data grid, right?
Beautiful. That makes a lot of sense to me. And since they're cards now, I can put together card styles that actually have whatever that summary is, sunny, rainy, that illustrate that. And I'm just picking up the class, that name, and showing it. Chat room. Who is this? I am Carrot. No, I am not Carrot. I am. See? They're asking where's Ed's costume in chat, because clearly, if
I found
I'm already
moose
wearing
and
it.
Squirrel, but where is Moose?
Moose is over there.
I'm the nerdy developer costume right now.
Can we get Ed a moose costume? Can we make that happen? Hello, welcome in. Good to see you, friends. Thanks to our new followers, our new subs. Yeah. So we're just pushing around, like they point out there. These are render fragments. These are just chunks of HTML that our components know where to inject. We can pass in a little bit of a C# object that we can format and place appropriately there. They're asking for maybe a kendo costume for Ed. I don't know.
So here, I've got a hat I can throw on. I'll be right back.
A hat. I might have one or two hats. We counted them this week while the power was out, because that's what you do when the power is out. You count your hats. And
there we go.
The Pickle Rick hat?
The Pickle Rick airbrushed hat from the MVP Summit. Why not?
Very nice. I had one of those hats made. Mine said NDA on it, and I gave it to one of my favorite lawyer friends.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The recipient makes it even more awesome.
It does. I'm not going to go into some of the. Yeah.
Let's have a little aha moment here. So we started by talking about the media query component.
Yeah.
And then we kind of pivoted over to these web forms style components that you wrote on previous shows.
Yep.
So let's put them together now, and we can say media query
and have it choose.
Then we can say we don't need the bind. We're going to use the template version.
It makes sense because you have them both sitting there. Yeah.
When the media is at a breakpoint of, on small or down, we will show the match template. And that match template is going to be our list. And the unmatched, if it's anything else, it's the falsy version.
Oh my.
15 more subs into the channel. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Sarah.
So remember all that markup this page initially had? And it was like down to like line like 90 something.
But
now we've moved things to components, and we're using a simple template to do adaptive rendering. And if we refresh, there's our
there's the table.
There's our data table. And on mobile, there's our column.
There's the cards. Nice. So, and this makes me as a web developer feel better because it's much more tag focused, right? I like Angular and I like Vue and React a little bit because I have components and things that look like tags, that feel like components, and I can be that component focused developer. Put that little bit of data query interaction code off on the side in that onInitialized and feed the results into my component. Let the component do its thing and completely separate. It's not quite MVVM, but I've got a model, my forecast, I've got a view, and I'm choosing how to put those two together. Really
How about
cool.
that? How about that UX right there? I mean, I know like it's repeating some pretty generic data,
Yeah.
but if this was some real data, this would be a really nice UX. Because we've got our tablet size, we've got our small size, and then on the desktop you get the full
table experience
with a data grid.
Very cool. Now, yeah, that's right, Robert. Tables, all the tables, and we should have. Can we name the table Robert? Kidding.
And look at the code. I mean, the implementation of this is nothing.
It does. It feels more webby, right? This is the kind of thing that I like to see, and I can focus on, in my view, doing view things. I've delegated all my business logic. It's all out in some code. It could even be behind this, right? We could move that into a .razor.cs class file and make that work.
Absolutely.
Will this code be available on Fritz's Git? We might be able to do something about that after the stream. I don't think that's unreasonable.
Yes.
Sure.
Not a whole lot going on here. We could put it up on GitHub or put it in a gist even. I guess a GitHub probably be better. It has a reference to the two packages that we used in combination here.
Yeah. Now, another. How much time do we have? Do we have enough time to try and? Can we squeeze in one more reference here?
Yeah, I was gonna say if we can maybe switch projects, would that be okay?
Sure.
And I'd like to see if we can add. I've got this Blazing Coffee project I've been working on, and it's got a lot of really cool stuff in it. So
can I mention some coffee that I enjoy? It's right there beneath you. Our friends at Madrinas. Make sure you check them out. ! Coffee. You can get 20% off Madrinas coffee if you click through. And there was a question earlier about what kind of chairs we have. Mine is everything's reversed. I have a Maxnomic Need for Seat, and actually customized with the Fritz robots there. You can see them. You can click through to Maxnomic just below here. You'll get free shipping if you use the button down below. What chair do you have, Ed?
I've got the Titan by Secret Labs.
Nice.
Secret Labs Titan. It was a more cost-friendly alternative to the Herman Miller. How's it pronounced? The Aeron?
Aeron, yeah.
That was like the Cadillac chair. I had one of those at my old office, and they are north of $1,000.
Yeah.
It's a little steep. So this was about half of that, and I can say it's almost as comfortable. For the price gap difference, it's almost unnoticeable.
Robert Table's wife stole all of his Madrinas. No good.
So I've got up the Blazing Coffee Warehouse app. This is something I've been working on. This is very heavily using the Telerik UI for Blazor components.
Okay.
So everything we've shown so far has been free and open source. This is a commercial library, just for clarification.
Okay.
So this is the Telerik UI components, and I've got lots of things here. I've got a drawer panel that I can fly out for navigation. This is really nice for navigating my app.
Sure.
Authentication is baked in, so I can authenticate and get data. And before I made that distinction of we were using HTML tables versus a data grid. This is a data grid to me. This has sorting, filtering, paging capabilities, all those things baked in.
All those things that you at some point, or right, one of the folks in your organization is going to say, gosh, it'd be really great if you could sort by rating. Well, okay, check, it's on the grid, done. Instead of having to write a complex sort routine, it's just there in the component.
Yeah, so that sorting we can in filtering we can find right up here if I wanted to say sort by the rating. And again, I made a joke about this on my show. I don't know why we're rating employees by a star system. This is probably a really bad idea, but we're going to use this for the example anyway.
Is it their customer rating? Is it right? The ratings coming back from customers as far as customer support calls, those types of things.
So let's see who we need to fire today, and we'll say if it's less than 1, we'll filter.
No.
Oh, good, we don't have any less than 1, maybe, or 2. I guess 2 would be 1. Less than 2 is 1.
Okay.
So these folks are going to have a bad day because we're going to let them go. But the filter is the point here. We can filter. We can say less than, greater than, all of those things, and it's all baked into the code in that grid. So if I go over to the grid, so this is on my this is on my I'm on the server pages employee page. So I have just definitions for all of my columns and the templates for the photos and the star component and stuff. But this is the actual code. I'm just giving it a list of employees, and it does the rest. So
no sort routines, no filter written. It just does it.
It's all baked in, and they're overridable if you do need to customize something that you just mentioned. You can customize that stuff, but for the most part, you just set a flag to true, like sortable, and it does its thing. And you can control them at a per column level too. You can see I've got sorting turned off because on the image ID, we don't want somebody sorting by image. There's no real intelligence to sort that anyway. So we turn that off, and we don't get a finger icon here to click and sort. So that's disabled on the image field. So you have control over those as well. Before we get too sidetracked, though, let's try to get back on the idea of exploring some open source libraries. And I want to look at this one. So we have the Blazor local storage, and this is Chris Santi's open source project.
This is when it's one thing to put state into your application, but what about between browser openings, right? Or as you're going, not just from page to page, but right between running of the application, you can use local storage.
So what I want to do here is say I've got a view set up where I'm maybe sorting by budget or something. So where let's see, greater than 10,000 is the budget, and maybe there's a team that I focus on and the other teams don't really pertain to me, so we'll say is equal to the Tiger team, and we'll filter that. But now watch when I navigate away from the page. I'm going to go over here and I'll come back, and I've lost my filters.
Yeah,
that's not a great UX, right?
Right. I want to remember those things. And I was talking to our teammate and friend there in the chat, Fierce Kittens, about this. Well, how do I remember the state of those things? Well, I could go write an app state object and put it into scope so that it remembers it from page to page, but local storage, right, it goes that one step beyond. Right, so I could put that and persist that anywhere. I can persist that in SQL storage on the server, or I could give that capability off to the client, because maybe
maybe those are my sort capabilities when I'm on my desktop, but I access the same page on my mobile device. I don't want to pull that out of the cloud and sync those two views together. Maybe I want them unique to the device. So what we can do is we can stash that in local storage, which exists in the browser. So I think we actually might have a demo in here that I can, or maybe it's in our docs that I can pull this out of. But what we can do is we can grab the grid state and we can stash that in local storage. So if we look, we have a persist state example here.
Okay.
And we can, quote, save and load the grid layout so your users can continue where they left off.
Perfect. So when I close the app and I come back next time, and right, this is something for where Fierce Kittens is working in GIFbot, right? Folks are editing and working on one of their things they're displaying. Right, they've got a complete list of these. Yeah. And then they close the browser. They come back into that admin interface. They want to go back to where they left off.
Exactly. And it looks like in our example, we're using this local storage library as well. So it looks like we're using that same local storage implementation. So I'm going to go out to Nougat and grab Blazor local storage, and we should be able to add this to our app pretty easy. So let's go over to the project site to make sure we have all the documentation up.
Get the syntax correct. Yes.
So let's look at our steps. We need to install. We need to add a service. And then in our program CS file in WebAssembly, we need to add our local storage. We need to configure the service here for the JSON serialization of what we put in it, I suppose. And then when we use it, we inject the service, and then we can call set item async, and we can push into storage a key and a value. And then we can pull that key and value out using get item async. And I think this is the same pattern we saw on the Telerik Blazor grid demo here, is we're going to call grid get state. So the grid component actually has an API to pull the state out. And then we can take the state and stash it in local storage. So our key is going to be whatever our state key is, and then we're going to pop the grid state in there. And then when we call load state, we'll do the same thing. We'll pull out the grid state and then rehydrate it by calling grid.setState.
Makes sense.
So we've got APIs around the grid that make this easy, and then we've got third-party tools on Nougat that we can grab, like local storage. So we have a persistence layer that we don't have to write any JavaScript to access, because normally local storage is a JavaScript API.
Yeah, sure. We got to kind of reach across the boundary there to get into it.
Right. So we're going to go first in browse for Blazor. It's Blazor with the ED at the end, and then local storage pops right up. So this Blazor namespace is kind of a community namespace that Chris runs, and there's a lot of other tools underneath of this as well. So there's like a fluent validation in there. So if you want to replace your validation logic from data annotations to use fluent validation, there is a project in there for that as well. So there's all types of little niceties in here that you can grab. So we're going to get the local storage component and install that. I'll hit accept here, and that should now be in our project. So let's look at the rest of the installation steps. What else do we need? We need to configure the local storage service collection. So how do we do that? We need to open up our program.cs, and I think the syntax may change from this documentation a little bit. So it looks like this was built pre trying to remember which release it was. It was a couple releases before RTM. We used to have a configure services method. We don't have that anymore.
You're going to need to add something in there.
So basically this changes to builder.services.add local storage.
That namespace is actually, it's not Blazor, it's Blazor Ed. They just got the capitalization wrong.
Chris,
very good
if you're in the
there.
chat room, is that a tribute to me? It is not. But
No,
that is...
it's not.
Oh, here we go. Okay, I didn't see. He's got both versions in here. That's what that is. So this is pre whatever version. Used to be a startup CS file.
Well, that's Blazor server.
Oh, does it say server?
Yeah, look at that.
It does. I should read a little more detail there. So if you're using it server side, this would be your configuration. So previously, the server and WASM templates had the exact same startup CS in program. Now they have their own simplified WebAssembly version, which is just a little bit less configuration methods. There's just not as much going on as there is on the server. So builder.services, add local storage. And then we need to skip down again to the WebAssembly portion here, and also in program CS in task main, we need to add the builder services, add local storage config. What am I doing here? Why are there two steps? There's setup and configuration.
Right.
So these are the same thing. This is
program
just additional.
CS. Yeah.
Right intended equals true.
Right indented. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, indented. Right, indented is true. I don't know the difference between those two things. I'm not a local storage expert, so maybe if there's anybody in the chat room wants to chime in.
Well, let's just talk about the serialization, right? So
yeah, so serializer options, indented equals true. I don't know if that's something we need or not, though, is what I'm saying.
I think it just makes it look nice when we get it serialized.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. Okay. I follow you now.
Yeah.
So then to use this, we inject it. So we call...
And that just right, this is the way we do things in ASP.NET, is you inject one of these cross-cutting services that you want available on all your pages. So just by injecting an iSync storage service, you're going to be able to interact and write to that local storage easily.
And it looks like we have two interfaces we can use, one for synchronous operations and one for async.
Mm-hmm. So we need to be aware of those as well. And then there is a pre-rendering issue. Remember I talked about this with the media queries as well. Things happen in JavaScript on the on-after render async because on uninitialized async, we don't have access to JavaScript yet. Yeah.
So when a Blazor app loads, I'll do an inspect here. Actually, let me see if this works better. Let me do a view page source, because I think this will give me the initial rendered page instead. This is what the app looks like when it is loading before the after render async fires.
It's one of those three events that fires in every component, right?
Yeah. So before the after render fires, look what my app tag looks like.
Just loading.
There's nothing in it, though.
No.
So the app hasn't loaded. There's nothing in here for JavaScript to do anything.
Yeah.
So that is why we use the after render method, because that means this app element has been populated and everything is finally there for us to actually work with.
There's components. Yes.
So we don't want to run anything in there until that after render async has happened. So that is something to be aware of. And there's a note in here as well. And pre-rendering as well is another thing that we need to be aware of.
Sure.
So actually, I think on after render is the default scenario because of pre-rendering.
Yep.
Actually.
Yep. So we are coming up very quickly to the end of our time here.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
So we can just put that syntax to persist. The grid state in this case.
Yeah, we'll try to do this the fastest way possible here. We may not be able to get this done, but we'll try. Close all but this. We need to inject the manager there. So let's go over and let's say, where's the using statement? Local storage. So we can grab local storage. So we'll inject local storage as local storage, and it looks like it's picking that up. No, it's not. So the namespace, the fully qualified namespace here is Blazor dot local storage dot is it local storage service?
It is, yeah, there you go. Yep.
And let's see here. So it looks like, well, local storage, does it have a get item? All right, we may need to go back through and fix some of those things, or it may have the wrong interface because there are two. But we also need a grid reference because we need to access the APIs on the data grid. So that is actually really easy to set up.
Yeah.
We'll use the ref attribute. And this is a directive that gives us access to the, oops, that's on the card container. That gives us access to a specific element. So this will give us a reference to the instance of the data grid, and then we can call the APIs that belong to it. So we'll call this grid just like the example does, and we will say Telerik data grid. Oh, it's just data grid maybe. Telerik grid. And we'll call that grid get set, and that will automatically populate the grid reference for us. And why do we have
need that state storage key defined?
Well, this is an of T as well. So the data grid is of T, which is an employee data grid. So I have a Telerik data grid of employee as grid. And now I can call grid.getState, and I can get the state of the grid, and I can call grid set state from what I pull out of storage. And we also need to type that as well. So the types need to match.
Ah, okay.
So local storage.set item doesn't seem to be working. So let's see what we have. This is set item async. So we may have used a different API for this on ours. So set item async, and then that takes the key and the data, but we also need a type, it looks like. Let's see if employee works here. Oh, we don't have a storage key.
Right, that's not defined yet.
So we need to give it a key.
So we can just call that foo or something, right? It doesn't matter what it is. Just
for our thing.
But we need the same key then right here on line 62.
And I think I have the state wrong. I'm not sure I need T here. Let's try that. Okay. And then
right here on line 62, need to change state storage key to foo.
So change that, and then this get item. Oops. Oh yeah, good catch. That's why I don't like magic strings. So we'll do dot here again. It's going to be get item async.
There you go.
And the type should be grid state of employee. I believe that is correct as well.
Looks good.
That should work. We just need to then call when we want to save and load the state. we can just hook these up to buttons for now, but we could say that when the filters change or sorting changes, we could go ahead and stash it always, or we could give it to the user as a button and have them click it. Any of those type of things would be appropriate. So we'll go ahead and just use an item from the example here. My highlight does not want to help. So we'll pop that in. And we'll duplicate that line and just make a load as well. Load state, save state.
And just change the text.
Looks like I don't have an icon here. Actually, let me just jump back real fast. I know we've got the same thing there. All right, there we go.
Download is the
See,
icon.
faster. When you're in a rush, copy code. So now we can save and load the state from these buttons. I think that might be it. Let's give it a try. If it doesn't work, we're about out of time. I'll just say that there's a demo up on the demo page that you can look at that does the same thing. So let's do a quick where did the filter go? I had it here. Let's do a team. That's good. Team. We're sorting by a team.
Can we say team contains tiger?
Yeah, there we go. Team contains.
Right, because there's a tiger team there, and we need to all learn to hate Carol Baskin. Okay, so there we go. We got just the tiger team filter.
So we've got a sort and a filter.
Yeah.
Try to save the state here.
Okay.
So saved. We'll exit. We'll come back. Everything is wrong.
Sure. We can load that state.
Look at that.
And it remembers it. Nice.
Load.
There it is. And we got a Carol Baskin reference in there. What can I tell you? It was a flawless victory. Yes.
So that was just 3 of many really good items out there in the Nougat universe. There are a lot more. We could have done this for days, I suppose.
Oh, yes.
I had, again, a Blazor, Awesome Blazor is a place where you can find a list of all of them.
Okay.
To show you some of the ones I cherry-picked for today we didn't get to. There is Blazor Styled, which lets us define inline component level styles. So this is kind of like CSS and JavaScript, but it's CSS and Razor.
Okay.
So if you're familiar with CSS and JS, then you should understand what that is. That's the kind of high-level idea there. There is a drag and drop library that I thought looked really cool that we didn't get time to demo either. But you could take like those cards, for example, that we had. You could use those and like drag and drop those around. That's another cool one. We've got, this one seemed fun. If you want a tag that emits emojis, so it's kind of like an icon library, but it's for emojis. And this is supporting every flavor of .NET in here.
Okay.
So there's tag helpers, HTML helpers, and Blazor components that render emojis.
I wonder if we could extend that and be able to point it to a Twitch stream and be able to use Twitch emotes. That might be cool.
Interesting. Yeah.
So
there's that. And it gives you some syntax kind of similar to Slack, it looks like. Which is kind of, so you say
also in Discord you have similar. Yeah.
And anything wrapped inside of that emoji tag, it will then find the colon tada, and it will emit the right HTML to render that. So that's pretty cool. I thought that was neat. So that was emoji sharp, G emoji sharp. I thought that was pretty cool.
Very cool.
Then finally, there is the signature pad. So this generates a SVG on a space where you draw, and you do signatures and all that stuff.
Okay.
So that's pretty neat as well. So that's Blazor signature pad. That one's out there. So these are all, again, from that Awesome Blazor project. You can find them all listed in there. We've got B unit. Blazor
Love
state manager. Rocky's got the CSLA framework for Blazor. So that's like to simplify your whole full stack application into kind of best practices. Then there's my Blazor component utilities, which handles conditional CSS logic, and my spin kit, and of course Telerik UI for Blazor we saw. So there was a lot of stuff.
So many cool things available out there. And we just had the drawing for the Bose headphones that we've had folks entering for all week long. Congratulations, Mr. Smoofy. You just won a pair of Bose headphones, thanks to our friends at Progress Software. And they make, well, we've had our Blazing into Summer with Telerik, and they make these really great Blazor components we've seen Ed show here in the last few minutes. Very cool.
And just quick mention for Blazing into Summer, we're pushing all of that content up to our YouTube channel. So you'll find all of those sessions, including the one with Daniel Roth and Chris Santi up there on our YouTube channel soon. So keep your eye out for that stuff.
You mean this is going to stick around longer than this costume is going to stay on my head?
Yes. And then yours get uploaded to YouTube eventually too, right?
They do. Yep.
So you can find this show on Jeff's YouTube channel later when that gets uploaded.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Ed. This has been really cool. Really appreciate taking a look at some of the really neat stuff that's going on out there in the Blazor community. There's so many things going on. It's great seeing that open source community continue to grow, embrace this new framework that we love, that we're really enjoying. It's a little bit magical. It's a little bit nuts. And I'm thrilled to be a part of it and building things work with this. It's really great stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many really cool libraries out there, and I think the .NET ecosystem helps focus on ease of use. Blazor's easy to use, .NET's easy to use, and these NuGet packages that people are creating, you saw how easy they are to implement. Basically, install a package, maybe make a service reference, and about 3 lines of code, and you've added like some complex feature to your application. It's pretty bonkers that we're able to do all of this
so quickly. Just get things up and running.
Done.
Yeah. Let me. I think we're about through here. This has been really cool. Thank you so much. I think we should set up a raid. What do you think?
That sounds great.
So let's do this.
I wonder who's out there today?
I see our friend Michael Crump is actually talking to the folks at Uno,
Michael.
Speaking about Blazor and doing things with WebAssembly. There's the raid call in the chat. If you're a subscriber, copy the top line off of there. If you're not, that's okay. Copy the second line, and we're going to get ready to go see our friend Michael Crump. He's
such a good old friend of ours.
Oh my gosh, yes. He's
one of
another
the nicest
member.
Folks you'll ever meet.
Mm-hmm. Another member of the Live Coders team, and he's talking with the folks at Uno about more WebAssembly stuff. Thank you.
Oh, perfect.
Exactly. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you.
This was really great. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Sarah and Dee Dee, and all of our subscribers who put me in a squirrel. Yeah, in a squirrel hat. And get ready to say hi to our friend Michael Crump. We'll see you over there in just a few seconds. And I'll be back on Sunday for the start of Junity. Take care, friends.